Everybody's been noticing it. Prices are going up, restaurants are having trouble finding staff to wait tables, transportation companies aren't finding enough drivers to make deliveries, people are worried about the stock market and how much the dollar is going to be worth a year from now. So what's going on with America's economy? Let's face a few hard truths together and find out what's driving all of this. Number 1. The stimulus package. As of May 2021, the federal government had paid out a whopping $850 billion of stimulus checks and approved a total of $1.9 trillion in the stimulus package in an effort to help those who lost income and keep the economy going in the midst of a global pandemic. So if it keeps the economy going, that's a good thing, right? Well, short term, kinda. Medium to long term, we're looking at a ticking time bomb. The only way the government can come up with this kind of money is to print more of it, money that didn't exist before. The government can do this, but what it can't do is wave a magic wand and make more goods and services appear out of thin air. So what we're left with is more money chasing the same amount of goods and services, and there's only one way that's going to end up. Number 2. Inflation. Yep, those goods and services get more expensive, and little by little, the currency becomes worth less and less. The Federal Reserve got into a habit of printing money at a dangerous level back in 2009, after the financial crisis. The pandemics just kicked that bad habit up a few notches, and it's starting to show. In October, the Consumer Price Index rose by 6.2% from the year before. That was the biggest rise in more than 3 decades. Number 3. Higher house prices. To see how this is playing out, the housing market is a good place to start. The average price of a home listed in the USA in the last month was $380,000. That was 9% higher than a year before and 22% up on pre-pandemic times back in October 2019. That's a big rise, but not the biggest one because number 4, rents are going up too. Yep, in fact, a lot more than purchase prices, and it's down to a few factors converging. First, higher house prices mean that people who would have bought their first home under normal circumstances now can't afford to, so they have to keep renting, and more people renting means higher demand for rented accommodation. From there, it's simple economics. Higher demand means higher prices. And a second factor, people are coming back to in-person work in cities as the pandemic eases. That pushes demand for rentals even higher, and you guessed it, prices go up even more. Add all of that on top of inflation, and you end up with rent sitting 15% higher than this time last year. Number 5. Salaries are going up. When stuff starts to cost more and there's more money going around, of course people want to get paid more. Who wouldn't? It's just the inflationary cycle. Cost of living gets higher, people need more to get by, and they demand to be paid more. Number 6. More people are working from home. Here's a factor that's been thrown into the mix. Here at ALUX, we've said for a long time we're fans of working from home. In fact, that's how our whole team operates. The pandemic has just helped more people to figure that out. One problem, though, there are sectors that need staff to be on site, and once people have realized how great working from your couch and your PJs is, suddenly those sectors are short-staffed. According to Business Insider, the sectors with the worst staffing problems are the restaurant sector. 74% of independent restaurants are understaffed. The transport and delivery sector, for them, that figure is 66%. The automotive industry at 62%, and the beauty sector at 59%. They all rely on people being at the office, salon, factory floor, or behind the steering wheel, but not that many people want to be in any of those places anymore, and it's leaving those businesses to struggle. Number 7. Supply chains getting clogged up. On the topic of transportation and delivery staff shortages, let's take it one step further. When delivery companies can't find people to drive trucks or take shifts in warehouses, it's not just those delivery companies in trouble, it's all other businesses relying on them. So basically, most of the economy. That home appliance you ordered online needs a driver to deliver it. Those funky accessories you ordered from China, they need someone to operate a crane somewhere to unload them from the ship they came in on. These kinds of workers have been in short supply. And when supply chains get clogged up, all kinds of businesses stall. Number 8. A shortage of semiconductors. Okay, let's look at something really specific, but with pretty wide-ranging consequences. 70% of the world's semiconductors are made by 2 companies in East Asia, TSMC from Taiwan and a slightly better-known name, Samsung from South Korea. The USA, like the rest of the world, is really dependent on semiconductors and supply chains from those countries to make everything from phones to household appliances and cars work. In the middle of 2020, demand for semiconductors shot up. That was mostly from the auto industry introducing driver-assisted systems. TSMC and Samsung couldn't keep up with the demand, partly because they were dealing with their own pandemic-related problems, and no other supplier was equipped to step in and deal with the shortage. And when a US car manufacturer can't get the semiconductors it needs to go in all the cars it wants to make, or home appliances or phone manufacturers, that company is forced to scale down its production. This once again leads to both business and the wider economy to slow down. Number 9. Gasoline prices. Oil prices are going up. At the moment, they're around $80 a barrel. That translates to $3.40 for a gallon of petrol, a 7-year high. It's down to quite a few factors like people driving more and using public transportation less, and higher prices for natural gas. The Bank of America has predicted that it could go up to $120 a barrel by June 2022, which is more bad news for drivers, but not just them. Businesses already struggling with supply chain stoppages and labor shortages will be feeling the pinch too. Number 10. Highest ever national debt. It doesn't feel good, but let's look at some more worrying numbers. The U.S. national debt, the money the government has borrowed and needs to pay back, is now at $28 trillion, and it's rising fast. It's $5 trillion more than when the pandemic started, and USDebtClock.org even estimates that by 2029, it could be up to $89 trillion. Let's use a quick analogy to explain what's happening. Imagine you're earning $1,000 a month, but you're spending $1,920 a month. In other words, you're spending 92% more than what you're earning and running up debts to cover your expenses. For any person, that would be insane, but that's what the US government has been doing for the last year and a half. Back in the 2008 financial crisis, it was spending just 67% over what it was getting from taxes. Now it's up to 92% over. According to a 2011 paper by the Bank of International Settlements, once that figure gets over 85%, which it already has, future economic growth is at risk. Number 11. Uncertainty in the stock market. This year, the stock market is up on the train wreck that was 2020, but with all the uncertainty, inflation, supply chain problems, oil prices, basically all the stuff we just mentioned, nobody is sure what's going to happen next. Even finance geniuses don't know, like the ones at Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs, who usually come out with reports around this time of the year predicting what the next year holds for the stock market. And in this year's report, well, they more or less admitted to not having a clue. Worst case scenario would be a crash next year. It's by no means certain, but all the uncertainty isn't really helping anyone when it comes to investing. Number 12. A property crash in China. Maybe you've heard about all the problems surrounding the Chinese property giant Evergrande. Basically, they've taken on too much debt and may not be able to pay it back. Sound familiar? Yeah, same story as the 2008 financial crisis. Okay, so China's economy looks unstable. Why is that going to hurt America? First, keep in mind the Chinese real estate market is huge. It's been called the most important sector in the world economy, and it's valued at $55 trillion. If it affects everything, what economists call contagion, it can hurt global financial markets. Lenders look at what's just happened in China and they get afraid to lend to anybody. One domino sets off another, and the Chinese economy just happens to be a rather huge domino. The jury's out on just how bad it'll get, but even a not-so-bad scenario could involve a lot of volatility. And while we're on the topic, number 13, the trade war with China. The Trump and Biden administrations might disagree on a lot of things, but one thing they seem to agree on is the trade war with China. Trump set the wheels in motion, and Biden looks pretty happy keeping them in motion. According to a Brookings Institute report earlier this year, the trade war caused a lot of damage and less trade for both countries. In the USA alone, it was bad for farmers, manufacturing, and freight transportation, all of which hit lows that we haven't seen since the last recession. Number 14. The political divide in Washington. Alright, we're not taking sides here, we're just looking at it as objectively as possible from an outsider perspective. You don't need a PhD in political science to see that America is divided, and that's putting it lightly. This division has an impact on the decisions being made in Washington. It often means it takes longer and is more difficult to get bills passed and make progress on important issues. Or when one party can pass bills but know that window is closing, like with the Democrats right now, they'll sometimes rush bills through that could be excessive or not well thought out. Like the infrastructure bill that the Biden administration just passed for $1.2 trillion. It does cover a lot of necessary things, but some commentators, like Forbes, have noted that perhaps right now isn't the best time for that kind of spending. Number 15. The environment. Last but definitely not least, we're starting to see the effects of the climate crisis more and more. It's affecting people all over the world. The last few years have seen hundreds of devastating wildfires and floods in both the developed and developing world. There's no getting around this one or the effects on farming, insurance, and pretty much everything. Last month, the Biden administration recognized this and came out with a 40-page report which says the climate crisis, quote, poses serious and systemic risks to the U.S. economy, and that climate impacts are already affecting American jobs, homes, and families' hard-earned savings and businesses. But we're curious what you think, Aluxer. What do you think is the biggest threat to the U.S. economy? Share your thoughts and join the conversation in the comments. And since you've stuck with us until the end, you know there's a bonus waiting. One more threat to the U.S. economy: the Delta variant. In a poll of Americans, when they were asked what the biggest threat is, they said the Delta variant. Of course, we'd like to say the worst is behind us, and with the fight against the pandemic, we have come a long way from where we started almost 2 years ago. But the Delta variant sure has thrown a curveball for getting the economy back to some kind of normal, not to mention our lives. So let's hope for the best, but stay cautious when it comes to staying healthy and predicting how COVID is going to affect the economy. Thanks for joining us today, Aluxer. We're so glad you did. Give us a like if you enjoyed this video, and don't forget to subscribe for more.